Oh, so there's 3 locations then. We get the passageway separate. Phew, I'm finally out of that cabin. I have to admit, this isn't quite what I was expecting. It's less spacious out here than I thought it would be. And this is the most luxurious accommodation? Yes, indeed. Kazuma-sama was being sent on this study tour by the government. That's why he was being put up in a first-class cabin. Even still, this is about twice as large as my accommodation in steerage. Really? That must be awful. Oh, look over there. That's another crewman keeping watch, and he looks enormous, even if he is sitting down. The door next to him leads to the second-class accommodation. I suppose he's making sure that no one comes in here who shouldn't. I suppose. Like people in handcuffs. Naruhodo-san, you look like a little boy visiting a toy shop for the first time. I would have thought you'd be used to the ship by now. We've been at sea for 2 weeks already. Well, yes, I know, but the thing is, I was inside Kazuma's trunk when I first came aboard, and ever since then I've been shut up inside that little wardrobe. It must have been a very trying time for you. Please, don't give me that pitying look. It's the map. If we look at the map, we'll know where everything is. This looks like a plan of the SS Buria. It shows each deck. Look. The Buria is a large-scale steamship with a triple-skinned hull. What a marvel of engineering. Well, it's been playing on my mind for a while now, actually, but... How is it that such a huge lump of metal doesn't just sink to the bottom of the ocean? Magic? Is it magic? Well, it's really quite simple, Naruhodo-san. It is? Well, consider the Japanese archipelago. The islands of Japan? Yes. They're not metal, but they are enormous lumps of earth, many, many times larger than the ship. And they don't sink, do they? They've been floating happily on the sea since the gods created them. Well, I suppose so. That's science for you. That's a huge book on top of the table there, and there's a pen next to it. Yes, that looks like the ship's log. Shall we have a little look through it? The writing is so neat and precise. Every detail about the voyage has been meticulously recorded. You wouldn't expect a rough and ready sailor to have such beautiful handwriting. And nothing. No reaction at all. I thought he might appreciate the compliment. I'm not sure that rough and ready is much of a compliment, Naruhodo-san, even to a sailor. Anyway, last night's log is mostly blank. Presumably that means there was nothing to report. Hello? Excuse me, but could I ask you something?
You little stowaway murderer.
That wasn't a good start, was it? All right, let me try instead. Good day, Mr. Sailor. I'm so sorry to trouble you, but could I perhaps ask something of you?
You little third-class lady's maid.
Oh. We seem to have caught the sailor on a bad day, Susato-san.
I am not sailor. My mother gave me a name. I am senior...
Fucking stupid.
I am senior crewman. Beef Stroganoff.
Phew. The best thing is just to avoid eye contact, I think. Mr. Stroganoff, about this first-class cabin area.
Here we are in the finest part of Buria's steamship for very important persons.
What sort of very important persons?
Government officials, kings and queens traveling in secret, many important persons. That is why I am always guarding this place.
Gosh, that's amazing.
But somehow I let stupid stowaway inside. I want to pick you up and throw you in ocean, but Stroganoff is not animal.
Thank you. if I may, I was wondering, is the cabin next to Mr. Asugi's currently occupied?
Da.
Susano-san, did you understand that? It sounded like da. I think it's probably Russian for yes or no. Genius. Almost as good at European as Hiten style. Wait, is Russia in Europe? Nobody knows. One of the great mysteries.
It is not permitted to visit other cabins without invitation.
Well, it sounds like there is somebody in the next door cabin at least. Yes, it's tantalizing. Could you tell us who's traveling in the cabin next to Mr. Asugi's?
His name is Mr. Grimsby Roylott?
Roylott? Grimsby Roylott? Okay.
He is very important Western gentleman.
A Western gentleman.
Do not think about it. He has nothing to do with murder of student boy.
How can you be so sure about that?
Mr. Roylott is authentic Western gentleman. Such a man would have no interest in lowly student from insignificant Far East islands.
That was harsh. Could you tell us when Mr. Roylott came aboard?
That is not your business.
Come to think of it, even though we've been at sea for 2 weeks now, and I've been in Kazuma's cabin the entire time, I've never once heard anything from the next door cabin, or even felt like there's anyone there. Well, presumably, since this gentleman is occupying one of the first-class cabins, he must be rather important. Is that right?
That is not your business.
Are you on watch here all the time, Seaman Stroganov?
Da. All time, so criminals like you cannot come in or get out.
I wonder, could you tell us anything about last night at all?
It is sad about student boy.
Were you on watch last night as well?
Of course.
And did you notice anything at the time? Anything unusual?
Hit?
Susato-san, did you understand that? It was clearly a no. Oh, is that nyet? Okay.
Niet. So nothing unusual. Nothing at all.
And you didn't hear any strange noises or sense anything was wrong in some way?
I said no.
Sorry. I'm not so sure. I could have sworn that he wouldn't catch my eye for a moment there.
This is enough. I cannot say more now.
Oh.
It is time for me to report to Captain. You must return to cabin.
Yes, all right.
Bulkhead to second-class area, staying locked at all times. You escape when lobster whistles on top of the mountain, or, as English say, when pigs fly.
When the lobster whistles on top of the mountain. I wonder if that's a real Russian thing. Yes, I understand. Good. Now we can investigate this area properly, shall we? Definitely. What's that? Mousetrap? Ah, a trap for catching mice. Yes, we have plenty of those back home in Japan. Although they seem to be using a lump of chalk or something as bait. Let me see. Yes, I think that's what is called cheese. It's made from the milk of cows. Cheezu? I wonder what it tastes like. You can't eat it, Naruhodo-san. The trap will snap shut on your fingers. Really? But suppose you're right. That's it. We used the mouse trap to break the handcuffs. Is that how that works? You weren't actually going to try it, were you? All I've had to eat for the past couple of weeks is Kazuma's leftovers. You don't know how hungry I've been in that wardrobe. Poor you. I'll find a little snack for you later. What do you think this is? It's a very pleasing shape, isn't it? That's the emergency alarm. It's probably best not to touch it. Oh, an alarm. It says, press only in times of emergency. It looks as though it sets alarm bells ringing all over the ship and brings the vessel to a complete stop. No, it doesn't. Why would that be something that anybody can touch? And it just shuts off the engine? Also, shutting off the engine wouldn't bring the vessel to a complete stop. It's not how science works. It's not how any of this works. Oh, what did he do? He's being a little sneak. Oh, this I have to see. What are you doing, Naruhodo-san? You mustn't touch it. But this is an emergency situation. Just look at these handcuffs. You know full well that's not what the alarm is for. If you were to bring this vessel to a standstill for no good reason, you'd be in an even worse situation. Wish everything would just stop, the ship included. If you have to do something foolish, at least make it something that doesn't affect anyone else. Handrail, floor. No, we're going in here. This is it. This is the cabin next to ours. Why am I singing? The one the ventilator connects to. Yes, the ventilator from which Kazuma-sama wrote that he saw a speckled band emerging. Maybe whoever's in this cabin can help solve that particular mystery. Let's ask. Knock, knock. No answer. We're out of luck, it seems. There's no one in there to help with our enquiries. How annoying. Ah! What was that? It came from inside the cabin. Such a high-pitched scream that Hiten didn't do. It must have been a woman. Stand aside. Oh, I'm about to break the door down. Mr. Sholmes. I shan't be stopped. When the fit is on me, I revel in kicking doors off their hinges. They call me the Lord of the Revel. Please, wait, Mr. Sholmes. The door doesn't appear to be bolted. It doesn't? And how can you tell? The bolt is on the inside of the door. Then how the deuce can I dispatch this muscular urge? What, pray, can I kick? I think we should go in. There's no time to think about stress relief. A second murder? No. Who are you? A Western gentleman? This man looks Russian to me. We heard a woman scream. Is this going to be a Simpsons reference? A woman. Don't be absurd. As you can see, there's nobody but me in this cabin. True. This old man does appear to be the only person in here. But in that case, who just screamed? Get out, all of you, now. Please, excuse the intrusion, but you're Mr. Grimesby Roylott. Yes, that's me. And you are? I am the one and only, the actual Herlock Sholmes. You've heard of me, no doubt. No. I am a great detective among great detectives, one who adorns the covers of popular magazines, no less. So I assure you, you may trust me completely. The man uses that magazine like a business card. A detective? No, I do not trust detectives. We distinctly heard a scream emanating from within these walls. but there wouldn't appear to be a lady concealing herself within the wardrobe this time. So might I be so bold as to ask you to open that small traveling case? What? Don't be stupid. How could anyone fit in a small trunk like that? Well, it's quite fashionable these days, is it not? Traveling inside one's trunk. Oh, look at me. Oh! Oh my, did you see that, Mr. Naruhodo? Why does she call him Mr. Naruhodo when they're with other people, but calls him Naruhodo-san when they're alone? Yes, the case just shook. Leave. Now. Otherwise, I'll call the steward. So this is Kazuma's neighbor, Mr. Grimesby Roylott. There's no doubt about it. This strange Russian man is hiding something. He's got a parrot. I couldn't agree more. Let's see if we can find some clues before that burly sailor returns. Let me give you the badge. I don't like that clicking on it is how you examine it, but I guess it makes sense. Mr. Roylott, what do you make of this? Listen. Do you know why I'm wearing these dark glasses? No, not really. So I do not have to look at things I do not want to look at. Do you understand me? I wish I could point out that you can still see things even when wearing sunglasses, but his chilly air has frozen my lips shut. He's got ice powers! He's the real murderer. Mr. Roylott, we'd like to talk to you about something. No. Oh! Do not want to talk. Leave my cabin now. This is going terribly. We're not getting anywhere here. I agree. But there may be someone else who can help. Perhaps that great detective could get somewhere with Mr. Roylott. So if I examine him, maybe we can progress the conversation. Is he going to stop me if I try to look at things?
What do you think you're doing?
Egg!
This is my cabin. Get out.
Can we just have a quick look inside your traveling case, perhaps?
No.
Ah, what a pity. I think we're out of luck. I think you're right. There doesn't appear to be anything more we can do.
I agree.
Maybe someone la la la. What if I were to examine your oh, doesn't count, doesn't count, doesn't count. Do you have a moment, please, Mr. Sholmes? You need only address me as Sholmes. That's what I just did, isn't it? Well, Mr. Sholmes, what were you doing in there? Why, I was resting, of course. Resting? Indeed. I was contemplating our sea voyage from the confines of the wardrobe whilst waiting. Waiting for the inevitable time that you would need to call my great powers of deduction into service. Oh! And it would seem that the hour is upon us now. The time has come. Am I mistaken? Well, no, actually, you're spot on for once. Observe closely. Our Russian host in this cabin, Mr. Roylott, is clearly trying to hide something. Do you know what is the most effective weapon to use against a Russian hiding a secret? Vodka. No. Why, the truth, of course. Though it should be pointed out that such methods are not exclusively for the Russians. Right. Can you imagine how the Russian will react when the secret he guards so closely is exposed? Would you like to witness it? Oh yes, please. Well then, what you are about to see may well astound you. For I am about to apply my great detective's greatly admired great deduction to the case. Alright, do it. Could this man be a more hackneyed portrayal of a dubious Russian, I ask you? What? From time to time, it occurs to me that the fellow dubious... Oh, is the fellow dubious on account of his Russianness, or Russian on account of his dubiousness? I really don't think either of those things should be occurring to you, or anyone. That's right. And Mr. Sholmes... I know this man's beard and dark glasses are hard to ignore, especially on first meeting, but I once read, it is a capital mistake to theorize before you have all the evidence. It biases the judgment. Shh! I must have complete silence. What are you doing? Why are you peering at my face like that? Ah, just as I thought. Yes, I have quite made up my mind now. There can be no other explanation that accommodates all the facts. Mr. Roylott, I have reached two incontrovertible conclusions. What? What do you mean? Number one, your true identity is that of a villain. Using those shears, you are about to end the existence of something most dear. Are you not? Huh! And number two, the other conclusion I have drawn. You are, at this very moment no less, in the midst of committing a most grievous crime. Beneath that beard, your mouth quivers with nervous tension as you realize you have been discovered. Does it not? Ag! Oh, Naruhodo-san, I never imagined I would witness one of Mr. Sholmes' great deductions with my own eyes. That was a great deduction? Nothing can deceive Mr. Sholmes. In a single glance, he can deduce all there is to know about a person. What? What ineffable twaddle! Oh yes, I've read about it countless times in the adventures of Herlock Sholmes. And now, I've experienced the astonishing impact of his great deduction firsthand. This is like a dream come true. I can hardly believe it, but all the color is drained from Mr. Roylott's face. Looks like somehow both of Mr. Sholmes' conclusions were right. How could you? How could I possibly know such things as you wish to say? Very well, then. I shall elucidate. I shall explain how it was that I arrived at this pair of conclusions. So do I cordially invite you upon a journey of logical discovery. Let us board the train of reasoning. Put plainly, let us work through my deductions together. The game is afoot. So, the dubious-looking Russian, Mr. Roylott, obviously what catches the eye in the first place. Oops, Australia. Sorry, Australia. Is the enormous pair of shears in your hand. Now we ask ourselves, what could you possibly want with such an implement? The answer, of course, staring us in the face. You are on the verge of using the shears to cut away the copious beard you sport. Now, moving on. The question then begged is this. Why would you desire to rid yourself of this magnificent beard, Mr. Roylott? Once again, the answer is plain. We have clear evidence to shed light on the matter. Regard, if you will, this morning's newspaper. In particular, the fascinating front page article. Which, it would appear, you have read also, Mr. Roylott. I noticed that he had a newspaper in his pocket. Did not escape my notice. I'm sure it needs no further clarification. The evidence that reveals your true identity is the article about the revolutionary. In translation, the headline reads, Revolutionary villain Bolshevik flees Russia via Shanghai. As you cannot fail to observe, the subject of the article possesses an extremely copious beard. Having noted the article yourself, you decided to remove your incriminating facial hair before it gave you away. In short, your true identity is beyond doubt. You are the fearsome Russian revolutionary himself, villain Bolshevik. Not that I've heard of you myself, you understand. This is cute. Well, will I have to do this someday? Will I do deductions? Now, as for my second conclusion. You are, at this very moment, on the brink of committing a most grievous crime. And the proof of this crime? Over there. I don't know what country that was. Oh yes, Mr. Roylott. Taken unawares, people have a propensity to let their eyes stray, you see. Ah. And I assure you the eyes speak so much more eloquently and honestly than the mouth. The answer we seek lies where the furtive glance falls. The proof of your crime sits before our very eyes. Yes, that traveling case. It is time, I think, that the case be opened and its contents laid bare. No, I refuse. What could you possibly be concealing inside, we ask? By my estimation, a young lady, perhaps, one slight enough to fit therein. Don't be absurd. And what, pray, would be the identity of this young lady in the traveling case? Dear me, we are not well suited to a life of crime, are we? Your careless coup d'oeil. It's not coup d'etat, it's coup d'oeil betrays you. Once again, we need only follow your furtive glance to find the answer. Yes, the reason you refuse to open your traveling case can equally be found in the pages of this newspaper. For there is another, most stimulating article. If we turn from the fleeing revolutionary to the back page. Renowned prima ballerina of the Novovich Ballet disappears from Shanghai. Such a headline can lead us to but one conclusion. I don't like voicing this guy for like 10 minutes at a time. Your crime is that of abduction. And according to the article, the young lady's name is Nikolina Pavlova. Thus concludes Herlock Sholmes' great deduction of this Russian enigma, Elemensky. Susato-san, that wasn't one of the great deductions I've been hearing so much about, was it? Well, the stories are full of Mr. Sholmes' brilliant deductions, you know. But that did seem a little different somehow. Excuse me, Mr. Sholmes, could you come over here for a moment? Pray, what can I do for you? It's about your deductions. Would you mind? Not at all. Go on. Well, to start with, there's that newspaper article. I think we had the same discussion before, but these two men look nothing like each other. Ah, yes. I recall our discussion earlier, and at the time, I believe I told you. The that the man is a revolutionary, well able to revolutionize his own appearance. In fairness to Mr. Sholmes, Mr. Roylott does look a lot more like this man than you do. That's not the point. And another thing, the part about him abducting the ballerina. Indeed, a truly startling revelation. At first glance, the case would appear to be too small to accommodate a young woman. Not just at first glance, it is too small, clearly. You'd be lucky to fit a 5-year-old child into that case, even if you pushed really hard. Are we suddenly Rufus from Deponia? I don't suppose the missing ballerina is a 5-year-old child, is she? You mean you don't know? No. The young lady is 15. No, I didn't know. How could I? Well, if she's 15, then 10 years worth of her would be poking out from the case. Some years ago, I read something pertinent, I believe. A troop of men consuming vinegar daily in order to promote a certain litheness in their bodies. Vinegar? For such a sour bunch, it would surely be simplicity itself to contort oneself into the confines of that small case. Oh dear. You might be thinking of contortionists in the circus, Mr. Sholmes. Ugh, this whole thing is turning into a circus. Mr. Naruhodo, something's occurred to me about Mr. Sholmes' deductions just now. I think his powers of observation are, well, magical. His eyes cut to the heart of a matter almost instantly. It's just where he directs his attention and his logic that seem a little off. Your idea of a little may be a little off itself, Miss Susato. It's just one or two key words in his deductions that seem to let him down. So I was wondering if we might perhaps tactfully switch them for alternatives. What do you think? Switch some key words in his deductions. Yes, but very tactfully. I'm sure if we could do that, we'd unlock the true genius of Mr. Sholmes' great deduction. Precisely the thought that was going through my own mind. This man is a lot of work. At times, I wonder how anyone puts up with me. It's not that funny. Ah, and you, my good fellow. Sorry? Take a moment to look at your wrists. My wrists? Where are your handcuffs? Huh? How did... I felt they may hinder your ability to follow me in our dance of deduction. I don't believe it. Mr. Sholmes, you are a marvel. Don't worry. I shall restore the shackles to your wrists when we are finished. I'm not worried. In fact, I'd rather you stay like this. Or I'd rather stay like this. So, let us begin. Herlock Sholmes is proud to present his logic and reasoning spectacular. Course correction. Hold it, Mr. Sholmes. So, the dubious-looking Russian, Mr. Roylott, obviously what catches the eye in the first place is the enormous pair of shears in your hand. Now, we ask ourselves, what could you possibly want with such an implement? The answer, of course, is staring us in the face. You're on the verge of using the shears to cut away. So maybe he was going to, like, cut up the article instead? I'm not sure. Would you really use shears like that to cut off a beard? I doubt that's something I'll ever have to worry about. It doesn't quite sit right with me, though. It doesn't seem to be sitting right with Mr. Roylott, either. Which means, I suppose, that the deduction is wrong. Let's try to switch a key word in here, Naruhodo-san, and see if it helps matters. Alright, but how? I think we should start by taking a long, hard look at Mr. Roylott. I wonder if it's really his beard that he intended to use those shears on. Exactly. If we do manage to find something that seems to fit the sense of Mr. Sholmes' deduction better, then what? Then I'll leave the rest in your capable hand, Naruhodo-san. Why am I the one to do something about this? Well, anyway, let's see if there's anything we could even use to switch around in that last sentence. What exactly was Mr. Roylott really going to use those enormous shears for? Thick hat. Golden locks? Where? Wait, does he have... He has really long blonde hair? I see. I guess it's not the newspaper, though, because I can't get to it. Coat buttons? Unless, is there... Can I move around more than this? No. Alright.
Yes!
Yes! You are on the verge of using the shears to cut away the golden locks you sport. Indeed. You have identified the precise detail I was intending to expose. Such lush golden hair certainly does not befit an old man. You're not a man at all, you're a woman, and judging from the length and sheen of your hair, one still very much in her youth. Oh no. If only I had managed to cut off my hair, no one would have suspected. The question then begged is this: why would you desire to rid yourself of these magnificent locks? Once again, the answer is plain. We have clear evidence to shed light on the matter. I'm sure it needs no further clarification. The evidence that reveals your true identity is the article about the revolutionary. No. Well, that was a shock. I had no idea the old man was really a young woman in disguise. Did you? What? Why are you staring at me like that? Yes, it was a surprise, Naruhodo-san. You're enjoying this, aren't you? Sorry? You look like you're in your element as you dance around the room deducing the facts with Mr. Sholmes. I'm just doing what we agreed. I'm not having fun or anything. This is strictly business, not strict... Yes, I understand. Say no more. Well, anyway, let's focus on this next part of Mr. Sholmes' deduction, shall we? The evidence that he's picked out doesn't fit the facts at all now. No, that's true. Given that Mr. Roylott is actually a woman. Exactly. He, or rather she, can't possibly be this merciless revolutionary. Girls can't revolution a country? Nonsense. I suppose it's because the deduction as a whole is taken in a different direction now. Yes. Let's switch the evidence for something else, something that fits the facts as we now understand them. For some reason, this woman needed to try to hide her true identity. I feel as though I've either read or heard about a young woman in a situation like that recently. Alright, I'll do my best.
Yes!
Yes! And then the Knights of the Round destroyed the screen. The article about the ballerina. That's right. You've hit the nail on the head. Renowned prima ballerina of the Novovich Ballet disappears from Shanghai. It would appear we are finally able to address you by your true name. Yes, because your true identity is that of the Novovich Ballet's prima ballerina, Miss Nikolina Pavlova. Ag! And then the scissors fell on her, she died. You shouldn't be running with scissors. Or standing. She's got Menfina earrings. She pre-ordered Endwalker? You're right. My real name is Nina. I mean, Nikolina Pavlova. But please, I beg you, don't tell anyone. Solved. Now, as for my second conclusion, you are at this very moment on the brink of committing a most grievous crime. And the proof of this crime, over here. Oh yes, Miss Pavlova. Taken unawares, people have a propensity to let their eyes stray, you see. Ah. And I assure you the eyes speak so much more eloquently and honestly than the mouth. The answer we seek lies where the furtive glance falls. Proof of your crime sits before our very eyes. Yes, that traveling case. No, she was looking at the bottles, maybe, on the desk. This woman is the ballerina, and she's right in front of her eyes, so clearly she can't be inside that traveling case as well. No, I'd better not look. I just might be in there. No, that's right. It seems she wasn't abducted at all. In which case, what is the crime this young woman is apparently committing? Huh. I can see I'm going to have to step in and fix the great detective's mistake again. You seem to look pleased, Naruhodo-san. Do you like the idea of another chance to dance around with Mr. Sholmes? Stop it! Anyway, there must be something else here that shows what this woman is up to. Oh, the crown. The crown is on the desk. Anything else? Chair. A nice rug. The waste paper basket? Maybe. She's gonna... Kobe! Throw something in there. I'm gonna try it, even though it's obviously the tiara. Because I want to see. Oh no! I have hit points? I have hit points. When people want to conceal the evidence of their crimes, where do they put it? If you want to hide a tree, put it in the forest. If you want to hide paper, put it in the waste paper basket. Yes, the proof of your crime is in here, Paboon. What spectacularly contrived logic led you to this mindless conclusion? Oh, well, it's supposed to be a logic and reasoning spectacular, so I thought I'd contribute to the show. This is my show, Mr. Naruhodo. Kindly perform any peculiar experiments on your own stage. Oh, sorry. Crimes come in so many different forms, that's the thing. How can we be sure? Mr. Sholmes' observational skills are beyond question, Naruhodo-san. Mr. Pavlova definitely let her eyes stray to something, and that something will explain everything. We must look around very carefully and try to work out what she was looking at. Alright, I'll investigate the area more thoroughly. I agree that there must be something here that will prove what this woman is really guilty of. It could have been the waste paper basket, you don't know. Plus, I did it wrong on purpose. Oh, you can even look at... okay. I wonder if I had looked at the basket, if there's anything inside. Wow, look at this dazzling tiara. I've never seen anything like it. Are those real diamonds, do you think? Oh, Naruhodo-san, try it on. What? Me? Isn't it usually girls who wear tiaras? Wouldn't you like to try it on? Oh no, I couldn't possibly. It's far too beautiful. Why does this tiara look familiar? I feel like I've seen it somewhere recently. So what actually is in the basket? Anything? The waste paper basket? Let's have a little look inside. Naruhodo-san! It's poor etiquette to go sifting through someone's rubbish, you know. Ugh, those eyes. She's looking at me like I'm a piece of rubbish now. However, these are special circumstances, I think. Exactly, we have no choice. There's hardly anything in here at all. Oh, well, that's a little disappointing. Present. The proof of your crime is surely this tiara. Ah. I believe this tiara is worn on stage by dancers in the Novovich Ballet, is it not? Indeed, it would appear to be identical to the tiara pictured here in this newspaper article. And if the reporting is to be believed, it's an item worth 20,000 rubles. In summary, the crime you have committed is theft. Oh no. Yes, you left your ballet troupe unlawfully, taking their precious tiara with you. Ugh! I have no one, no family, no friends. I'm all alone, and I need money. But I did not steal the tiara. It was a present from, how do you say, an Earl of Prussia. It belongs to me. This girl is only 15 years old, and she's run away all by herself. She must have been extremely lonely. She's beautiful and lonely, not guilty. Nobody who looks nice can do a crime. Alright, I will tell you everything. There is no point in hiding it now. Come, come. Let us not be hasty. What? There remains one unsolved mystery about you. Mystery? What do you mean? You have staunchly refused to open this traveling case of yours in our presence. It is reasonable to conclude, therefore, that there exists some reason why you wish it to remain closed. Is that not so, Miss Pavlova? My dear girl, there is no sense in playing games with me. Nothing escapes my attention. Indeed, I have a very good idea of the contents of your case before I have even laid eyes on them. Dear me. We are not well suited to a life of crime, are we? Your careless crude oil betrays you. Once again, we need only follow your furtive glance to find the answer. Yes, the reason why you refuse to open your case is written upon the books in your shelf. He's completely changed tack with his deduction now. I think Mr. Sholmes is adapting his logic to the changing circumstances, don't you? Maybe, but why has he suddenly brought the bookshelf into all this? It's just a wild guess, surely. Or, oh, do you think so? Well, it doesn't seem likely that the reason why this young woman doesn't want to open her case would have been written in a book that doesn't even belong to her. Yes, that's true. But still, Miss Pavlova certainly did cast her eyes in that direction. I noticed it myself. Then there has to be another reason why she won't open her case. It must be somewhere in the same area if that's where her gaze was involuntarily drawn. I agree, that's the only answer. Whatever she has hidden inside that case should be revealed by following her gaze in the direction of the bookcase. What are the rules of passage again? Oh, no weapons? Rules of passage. Passengers must not keep weapons or other dangerous objects in their cabins. Pets. Oh. Okay, it's not a weapon, it's a pet. It's a pet parrot that screams like a woman. Exactly the same notice in our cabin, too. I wonder what happens if you break the rules. Oh dear, I'm sure the punishment would be severe, Naruhodo-san. You'd probably be left adrift in the freezing cold ocean, or shut inside a tiny wardrobe for days on end. So I've actually been serving time for weeks now, have I? She could have been looking at the door. Yes. I mean, that does also make sense. But she's just like, I want to get out of here. Right now. Yes, the reason why you refuse to open your case is written in the rules of passage. Passengers must not keep weapons or other dangerous objects in their cabins. Pets are also strictly forbidden. Inside that case of yours is something forbidden from carriage on this vessel. A bomb! No. That is the real reason why you refuse to open it, thus revealing its contents. As we've seen, the trunk wobbles from time to time, but no weapon or other dangerous item would move of its own accord. Which leaves but one possibility, Miss Pavlova, inside your traveling case. Is the last item listed as forbidden in the vessel's rules of passage. A pet. It was fun. That's a fun little, especially because of all of the animations and things that they have. It makes it more fun. Like the fact that the camera angle's constantly changing, it makes it a lot more fun than like just interrogating someone who's at the witness stand. You always see them from directly ahead, and there's really only like 1 or 2 funny animations that they do. Whereas this was a lot better. This was, I hope the whole game is, continues this, right, because what did I kind of didn't like 4 and 5, or 5 and 6 all that much. I think partly because they felt a bit formulaic and a bit, I don't know. I probably phrased it better, like, at the time that I finished playing them. Maybe I'll even go back and rewatch what my thoughts were at the end of playing Ace Attorney 5 and 6. I think especially toward the end of 6, I was like, it really never strays very far from the formula. Whereas this feels a lot better. Even if it is just, okay, pick which of these items makes the most sense. It's like, okay, that's what you do all the time in Phoenix Wright. But it was, the presentation made a big difference. So clearly, you aren't who you said you are. No, I am not Grimesby Roylott. My real name is Nikolina Pavlova. Everything you said was correct. You absconded during one of your ballet company's performances in order to escape your homeland. Later that same night, you stole aboard this vessel. Which couldn't have been easy. The Buria is a huge steamship with a vast crew. Could she really have snuck on board without being noticed? In order to obscure your true identity, you somewhat recklessly took the guise of an old gentleman. And you intended to sever all links with your past by severing your long hair. Yet to a woman, hair is no trifling matter. My personal recommendation is to leave well alone. So, if it was just you, about to cut off your own hair, who was it that let out the scream we heard from outside the cabin? That veritable tinkling of a bell? Why, none other than this young lady, naturally. More like a full set of pipes, if you ask me. I was so scared when I ran away in Shanghai. I was sure they would come looking for me. That's why I decided to, how do you say, disgust myself, so no one would recognize me. As a result, you transformed yourself into that questionable old man? I see. I put on the fur hat and fake beard? Then, just before you came in here, I saw in the newspaper, right on the page, there was a picture of me. I was so frightened, I couldn't stop from screaming. Oh, alright, I guess it's not a parrot then. I knew that if I didn't change my appearances completely, they would find me. So I decided to cut all my hair as fastly as possible. I picked up the scissors in my hand, and at that precise moment we walked in through the annoyingly unlocked cabin door. Things happen like that sometimes, don't they? Things do indeed happen like that from time to time. Are those two even talking about the same thing? It was an odd translation. I don't know how exactly they were on different pages. There's just one more thing I'd like to know. What exactly do you have inside your traveling case? It's a horse. You are right. It is my dear friend inside. My only friend in the whole world. Please, don't tell anyone. If the captain finds out, if you say to any of the crew. Your secret is safe with us, I assure you, but in return, you must tell us in as much detail as you can muster about the events of last night. Wait, is it gonna be a pet snake? Like, it went in? That would be weird. Especially, how would she get it back? Yes, Alright, I will tell you. Well, Mr. Naruhodo? Wasn't it something, Mr. Sholmes' great deduction? Oh, certainly something, yes. Just not entirely sure what. But at least Miss Pavlova has agreed to tell us what she knows. That's incredible. Indeed, it is incredible. Ah, and one more thing. Oh, yes? What? Observe your wrists. Ah, your hands are cuffed again. What? But how? True to my word, I have restored your shackles. Grr. When? And why? There is still a shadow of guilt cast over you, Mr. Naruhodo. I'm sorry to say. It can't be helped at the moment. Can't it? Really? Anyway, let's listen to what Ms. Pavlova has to say. I can't go on not knowing. I have to find out what the speckled band that Kazuma-sama wrote in his diary really was. Can I examine about? What's the deal with these? Let me see. Don't touch! Huh? I will tell you what I know about last night, but please, you must not touch my things. How do you say? Forbid it. Oh, sorry. As well you should be, young man. What vulgar manners you have. Poking around in a young lady's private belongings, neither shall I allow it. Hypocrite. Alright, we must kung fu talk. Tell me about this friend. So the friend you mentioned is inside your traveling case, is that right? I don't think animals are allowed on board, according to the rules of passage. Please, don't tell. Don't tell any of the crew. If they found my precious... Then the burly Russians would bestir themselves in unison to throw you and your case overboard, no doubt. Ag! So reassuring, Mr. Sholmes. Well, what sort of pet is your friend? A little puppy? It is, isn't it? Maybe an adorable little rabbit? Bakateria. Huh, you credit Russia as a land with small rabbits, do you? Oh, don't they have small rabbits there, then? You may well ask. I have no idea. Huh. You two are miserable shadow bunglers when it comes to misunderstanding the nature of young ballerina's friends. Isn't it obvious? It must be a chicken. Really? Consider the benefits. A rousing wake-up call, daily fresh eggs, and when adversity strikes, it could satisfy the needs of sustenance. So you'd eat your friends. I'll remember that. Well, it would appear this friend's identity is a closely guarded secret, not to be revealed. She obviously doesn't quite trust us yet. There's something I should like to show her, I think. Maybe she might be able to shed some light on it. This is the diary of my friend who passed away. His diary? Yes. And he wrote in it last night before he died. Something a little unusual. It reads, 1:23 a.m. I can hear a faint whistling sound. Oh wait, snakes don't whistle. And then a few minutes later, 1:35 a.m., what looks like some sort of speckled band is dangling from the ventilator grill. A speckled band? I don't understand. It's strange, isn't it? But the ventilator he mentions joins to this cabin, you see. It's up there, on the wall. In other words, this cabin and the victim's cabin are connected together. Oh! Miss Pavlova? Has something occurred to you? Does the speckled band the victim mentioned mean something to you? Or the whistling sound, perhaps? No. I don't know anything. Oh. You've run away from your ballet company, haven't you? The Novovich Ballet? Yes. I am traveling to Great Britain, and from there I want to go to America. I will never dance again. I want to forget everything about the ballet. It's too late now. I should have. I will never dance again. Guilty feet have got no rhythm. I will start a new life. You wish to forget. A challenging proposition when you have that striking tiara as a reminder. But the tiara is mine. I need it to live. I have no money of my own. The Novovich Ballet gives us only a little food and water. And we must dance all over the world. I had to run away. I had no choice. If I stayed, it would have killed me. So you ran away to protect yourself? Yes. And the crew of this ship, they have all been kind to me. They let me come on board and they said I could hide in this cabin.
If that is indeed the truth, Miss Pavlova, it creates a most intriguing conundrum.
Yes, it does. What do you think about it, Mr. Naruhodo?
Me? Oh, well, yes, of course. I think we should hear Miss Pavlova's explanation. To what conundrum, I'm not sure, but... Ms. Pavlova, allow me to pose you a riddle. According to this newspaper, it was only yesterday that you absconded from the ballet. Now, that being the case, it must have been last night that you boarded this vessel. However, the SS Buria stopped by no port last night. Oh, that's it, of course. So how is it, pray, that you come to be aboard?
Now that I think about it, the crewman outside the cabin acted very strangely when we mentioned that. It was just after we asked him about when the occupant of this cabin came aboard.
That is not your business.
Yes, you're right. He did seem to be hiding something. An angel descended from the heavens, bringing grace and beauty to the stage.
Sorry? What was that?
It is how the Russian newspapers described one of my performances. And that is how I came here, too. I descended from the heavens because I am an angel.
Considering English, nor Japanese, which we're speaking right now, is your mother tongue, your description is very vivid.
Mr. Sholmes once said, I can never resist a touch of the dramatic. It seems Ms. Pavlova is the same.
A genius descended from the heavens, bringing grace and beauty to detection. Words once said about myself. A quote from a wonderfully extravagant advertisement for the adventures of Herlock Sholmes, in fact.
Yes, Mr. Showy. Anyway, it doesn't look like Ms. Pavlova is going to tell us what really happened.
Of course, she tied all of the prayer papers from the mountain together and flew here on a hang glider. I should have known. They're repeating cases now. They ran out of ideas. Do you know that someone was killed in the cabin next door to this one last night?
One of the crewmen told me this morning when I was eating breakfast. The man who died...
Oh, no. The man who died, he was a friend of mine.
Oh. That's why we're trying to find out what happened. Did you notice anything unusual last night? Perhaps you heard a strange noise, for example. Perhaps people talking. Perhaps the ship was absorbed in a wild tempest. Perhaps its steam engine exploded. Perhaps everyone on board would have noticed if that had happened. Ms. Pavlova, is there anything you can tell us? I don't know. I'm sorry, but all I could think about last night was what I had done and whether they would find me. I didn't notice anything that was happening around me. Oh, I see. Knock, knock.
Excuse me, Mr. Roylott.
Yes? What? Wow, she's fast.
Captain would like to speak with you. You must come to Captain's quarters at once. Please.
All right, I will come now.
That's...
What?
You must leave, now.
Oh no, it's fine. Don't mind us. Yes, please, don't worry yourself, Mr. Roylott.
Get out! The passenger said out, or you want me throw you out.
Ugh. Looks like we'll have to leave investigating this cabin until later. What a pity. And so we lost our chance. Having still not managed to investigate Ms. Pavlova's cabin, we were unceremoniously chased out. That is to say, we were quite literally picked up and thrown into the passageway outside. To be continued. All right, that was about 2.5 hours. I don't think I'm going to start the next section. I think we'll leave off right there. That should be fine. All right. Investigation part 1 complete, although it was rather long. And we had a delightful deduction section that I really enjoyed. I guess they'll probably have one of those in each of the chapters, maybe? And then there is a whole second game where they won't necessarily do the same thing, but maybe we'll have something else that's new and will be fun. It looks like we may not have an actual court case. Like, they're not going to have court on the ship, although they could. Maybe the passenger is like the Russian brother of the Japanese judge, and he looks identical, and we have a court on the ship. Anyway, that is it for tonight. More of this on Thursday, and I did pick up a Monsters Expedition because it's on sale right now. I don't know. I'm not going to plan out ahead of time how I'm going to schedule things, but certainly before we finish with Phoenix Wright altogether, I'll start weaving in a Monsters Expedition. So have a good night, everyone. Thank you, and I will see you later.